Anabela is back. Bobby D. Anabela wanted to sit on the right this time.
Change it up a little
Get
bit.
her better side.
Right.
Me, I don't have a bad side, so I'm good. Except my bad side. But anyhow, we're going to talk today. We're going to continue the topic of foods. But this one's going to be specifically geared toward fat.
Fat. Right.
So we got a lot of people misunderstand. They think fat is bad.
Right. Right.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's
We're
talk
going to talk about something a little different. Most people, when they see or hear the word fat, they automatically get scared. But all fats are good. All of them.
All.
They're all good. Well, we're not talking about, I should rephrase that. You know, we're talking about your fake fats, like your margarines and your trans fats and those. Those are not real natural fats. Okay? So I should have said that first.
They're
when you're
transformed fats, correct?
Right. They're
Like
transformed. Right. They're not a natural fat.
Okay.
So, you know, there's three types of fat. You have your saturated fats.
Which is like what?
Which is like your butter, your lard, your coconut oil, your palm oil. Okay? Then you have your monounsaturated fats. Most common is like the olive oil, but there's peanut, there's avocado, and there's sesame oils. Those are monounsaturated. Then you have polyunsaturated. Okay, so three types of fat. And those are, the polyunsaturated are your vegetable oil, your corn oil, your soybean oil, those types of oils. Okay, now all of those, your saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated, all of those fats all have some form of those three types of fats in them. Okay. But predominantly, the saturated are your butters and your lards and your coconut oil and your palm oil. Your monos, most people know the olive oil, but there's peanut and macadamian. Okay. And then your poly, again, your corn, your soybean, your vegetable oil, sunflower oil.
This is not a race. Slow down, relax, take a deep breath.
All right, I'm trying to get it all in.
All
right, so you got these three types of oils. They're all good, and they're all three fats. They're all good. The thing is, how are they prepared? How are they processed? And how do you cook with them? That's when it doesn't become a good fat. Okay? So again, we're not talking about the trans fats.
In a raw state, all of those fats are good.
All of them are good. What people need to know.
In moderation, or
yeah. You know, everything. And I don't like the word moderation, but everything in normal. You know, something normal. We're not talking about eating, a stick of butter a day or eating.
And we're not doing a diet. Talk here. We're not saying
no, it's not that diet. It's just about information.
Eating healthy. We're not saying this is listen to this video if you want to lose 15 pounds.
No, it's just getting some information so that you can make sense of what's out there. Because everybody talks about fat. Again, we talk about fat, but we don't really know what it is, and we don't know how to make sense of any of it. But when you know that you have these, be quiet now. When you have these three types of fats, they're very important, and they're all good. But what I want to really express to you is, how do you use them? So if you use a saturated fat, like a butter, coconut oil, or palm oil, those oils can withstand very high temperature heat. So if you want to bake with them or fry with them, those are the types of oils you want to use.
And
because
most people use olive oil.
Right, and I'm gonna talk about that next. So the saturated fats, because of the way they're molecularly made naturally, they can withstand that type of high temperature. So that's what you want to do if you're frying or grilling. Saturated fats.
Which is
they
butter,
won't.
lard,
right. They're not going to
oil.
change. They're not going to go rancid. So the body can tolerate those fats in its natural state.
Gotcha.
Got it?
Got it.
Now we go into the mono. So we're talking about olive oil.
What's
mono unsaturated.
What's the full meaning of mono? Like
it's a one chain of an unsaturated fat.
Okay, got it.
Okay? So most people know the olive oil. Well, you can cook with olive oil, but you have to keep it under 400 degrees.
So how do you know?
You have to monitor that. So when people are going to go
fry,
you can't let it start to smoke, because then that means it's reached rancidity. So you have to be very careful. And the same thing with the peanut and the avocado and the sesame type oil. Now they will withstand a higher temperature, but they're good for like sauteing and stir frying, but not deep frying like some people are doing, because it's olive oil, it's good for you. Yeah, it is, but you got to be very careful with the temperature when it comes to monounsaturated. Saturated is different.
So you can
do high temperature.
You can't
frying it in very high temperature. So you can't put your oven at 450, coat your pan with olive oil, roast some type of chicken and think it's okay because it's olive oil. You see, they're all the fats are good. It's just knowing.
Converting them when they.
That's right. It's converting them. You need to know what the limits are. Okay, now we're going into the polyunsaturated, which everyone is using, all the food manufacturers are using because it's cheap. And people think, oh, vegetable oil, corn oil, soybean oil, they're good for you. Well, they are, but we're not using them that way. First of all, when you extract that seed or that nut or that seed, bean like soybean, it needs to be processed a certain way, and it cannot have any heat to it at all. That's where you hear the word cold processing.
Gotcha.
Okay, you'll only hear it mostly for olive oil, which is good, but it's all the other oils. Any type of seed oil, if you throw any temperature, any heat to it, it immediately goes rancid. You can't light a match to any of those oils.
What does rancid mean?
Rancid means it changes its compound. I lost that word. It changes its compound. I know, I couldn't get the word out, sorry. Changes its compound, and it's not a full natural fat any longer. It's gone bad. Basically, when something is rancid, it's gone bad.
It doesn't taste any different.
Yeah, it will. And a lot of these food manufacturers, they process these fats, and they add like detergents to them, and
detergents.
They add
like
detergents to them. Well, kind of similar to that.
Oh
they add like detergents to them. They take deodorizing. They deodorize them to take that rancid smell out.
That's busted.
We finished now.
Okay,
You're getting me off track here.
Go ahead.
So when you're doing these polyunsaturated oils, it's very, very important how you process them. They need to be cold pressed, so that there's no heat when they process the oil, so they keep the natural polyunsaturated molecules.
Pressing and it's hot,
it's already
totally
rancid.
And there's
already.
A lot of oils.
All of them,
manufacturers do that?
So then, because then what they do is they put them in clear bottles and they sit on a shelf under lighting. So lighting and heat makes them rancid, and we're getting these rancid oils already in manufacturing.
Really? Wow.
Then we take the good oils, people think, like the sunflower, the corn oil, the soybean oil, and what they do is they fry them and they cook in them. No good. That's when you get these bad fats into the body, and the body doesn't recognize them as a natural fat.
And what does it do?
It creates heart disease, hardening of the arteries, clogging of the arteries.
Really?
It doesn't make hormones. The body needs hormones. It needs fat for healing. Don't forget our organs are made out of fat, mostly saturated fat. Our brain, our heart, our organs are protected. So we need to have all kinds of fat. You need saturated. You need monounsaturated. You need polyunsaturated.
So somebody called me a fathead.
They're right.
They mean,
that's right.
Okay.
That's true. You got the fat up there. You're supposed to. And we need this fat to
Right.
protect our organs, to make hormones, to protect our cells. Fat's very, very important for our cells. It keeps the rigidness and the flexibility that our cells need so that we can absorb and detoxify our cells. Very, very important. We throw in these polyunsaturated oils that are rancid, or any of those oils that are rancid, and it changes the structure of our cells. And then we can't absorb and detoxify. And then, we talk about cancers and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
Wow.
So all the fats are very, very important. But what most people don't know is they all have different structures. They all have a certain temperature limit. That's what we need to know. So when people
Does it say it on the bottle?
No.
Doesn't say,
No.
hey, don't heat over.
No. I did see a bottle, at one time in Whole Foods I saw a bottle and it said something like, it was a polyunsaturated oil, or maybe it was mono. I know I'm confusing you, but I don't remember. But it did say something about safe for cooking at this temperature. And I was pretty impressed that they had that.
I see.
So that the consumer knew that they couldn't cook beyond this temperature point.
Right.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so anyway, I know we talked about it a lot, but it's just something that you need to know. It's very, very important. So don't shy away from your saturated, your monounsaturated fats. They're very important.
If I'm having a salad, doesn't really matter which oil. What's the best oil to use?
Olive oil, macadamia oil.
Vegetable oils, you're not fond of vegetable oil.
You're not going to get any good vegetable oils unless you press them yourself. All these manufacturers, they're not pressing them correctly, and they're a lot of heat, light.
So cold pressed olive oil is great.
Right, and that's the purpose of the cold press. They press them with these cold plates so that there's no heat generated, so all the natural properties are still in this oil.
Difference between virgin and extra virgin, what's that mean?
Virgin is first press. extra virgin, I'm sorry, is first press.
Okay.
And then you go into the virgins and so forth. So they press the olive, the first press, you got second, you got third, you got fourth, and they get lighter and lighter.
Gotcha.
That's the difference between what that means. That was a good question.
So we mixed virginity into the conversation. You have to, we gotta get more viewers. So we gotta get a little more controversial.
Okay.
So olive oil is good for salads.
And there's a lot of other good salads. Avocado, and there's a lot of good macadamia oils. There's pumpkin seed oils. There's a lot of good oils. We just remember we need to know how are they processed, how are they pressed, and are they in dark bottles, and are they kept away from light and heat? Very, very important.
Good deal.
Okay, makes sense?
This is pretty good.
Yeah. And again, you guys have been sending some questions on my email.
Yeah.
Got the email, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be more than happy to answer any more questions. I'm sure I'll get a bunch when it comes to this oil. It might be a little confusing.
I don't think so.
But look it up. Look it up. You'll get the information.
Fat is good. That is the message of the day. Anabela, Bobby D. See you next time.
Bye-bye.